Hey guys, Jennifer Hobbs back again with another episode of Celebrate the Struggle. As you know, if you've heard any of them, my mission is to make a safe space where we could just discuss struggles in life, maybe even some trauma that has led to this point where we are now. Give it its space, but then, try and let down some of the stigma around it to educate other people and hopefully send a message of hope for those that can totally relate and understand. So, with me today, I'm so grateful to have the pleasure of being with Sarah Otto, who is president and co founder of Ohana Homefront Foundation. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, how are ya?
I am good. I will
Good.
try and be a positive Patty and say, the kids are home for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So, thank you, MLK, for your activism and everyone else involved. However, I shouldn't say however, looking forward to the kids going back tomorrow. But let's see if
Yes.
they are squared away with my, threats of you be quiet out here.
I didn't even think about that part of it.
Yeah. Um, so let's see. One of the things that before you start and tell us a little bit about you, as I did a little bit of stalking, because I like to kind of get an idea of, who I'm going to chat with. And if I have time, I like to do a little stalking. So I seen that Ohana Homefront Foundation is like mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Is that correct? Okay, I can't wait to hear more about it and what inspired you to get there, but let's back it up and just hear about who Sarah Otto is, where you come from, kind of like your journey up to this point now and whatever you want to share with us.
Okay, well, let's see. Sarah Otto, who am I? So, I am actually a Missouri native, born and raised, but my husband, he joined the Navy in 1990. He joined in 96, went to boot camp in 97. This was not our life plan, but here we are. He retired in 2018 after 21 and a half years. I have been around for a couple decades. I've seen everything, it seems like, within the military community. We have three adult kids. Our youngest is in college in Salt Lake City. Our middle one lives in Virginia Beach and just had our first grandbaby on Thanksgiving. And our oldest still lives here at home. And then we have two
Yay.
dogs and two dogs and two goats. How many times do you have somebody on that has goats?
Well, it's funny you should mention that because in addition to not knowing anyone who has two dogs and two goats, although I think one battle buddy, has the goats, but in addition to that, how many times do I have someone on here who this is a reschedule, folks? For those of you who are listening and
Mm,
watching this is a reschedule
yeah.
because we were supposed to meet last, which totally fine with me. I'm totally flexible, but it was super shocking that when Sarah wrote me right before our call, she had said, change of plans. Can we reschedule? You also work in the school, which I'll have you tell
Yep.
what your position is there in a minute. But you said, now we've all evacuated. There was a boom and, some sort of smell. And I know having 12 years in teaching that holy moly, that just threw off your whole day. So I'm glad everyone is okay, though. I did talk to her about it before the call, and everyone is okay. Sounds like
Everybody's fine.
HVAC
Yeah,
issue.
good old HVAC. Yep. Kind of made a boom. I did not hear it in my office, but it made a boom and it had a smell. So yeah, we
Hmm.
evacuated for about an hour. The kids wanted to all go play on the fire trucks, but we couldn't let them. So that was fun trying to corral them. But yes, I do work in an elementary school. I work at Lewis and Clark Elementary in Rutherford Glen, Virginia, and I am the family engagement coordinator. So those that have been around the military know about like your ombudsman or your key spouse, or the army, I believe it's the FRG leader,
Hmm.
the liaison between the command and the families. So that's what I am between the administration and the families
Which I
in
find
elementary school.
super cool. Like when you had told me that in an email,
Yeah.
again, having worked in education, what a such like that's not the right wording there. What a great position and opportunity to have a resource like
Yep.
that in your school. So needed and awesome that your school has created a position for that. Okay,
Yeah.
so
We
back.
have it
Oh,
countywide.
sorry. Oh, really?
It's okay.
Well,
We have it county. It's a newer thing, but yeah, I really enjoy it. And yeah, it's fun to play with the kiddos, and it's also fun to kind of bring what I learned throughout my time as a military spouse, active duty, being that liaison and moving it to the civilian side with kids and administrators and families. So that's kind of fun.
Okay, so backing up to what you were saying, you've basically seen like 2 decades of just about anything with military, as being a military spouse. So tell us more about your tell us about that experience.
Okay, so so here's a little fun tidbit. So my husband were together in high school. He proposed in front of the payphones at Great Lakes after boot camp. It was so romantic. And then we ended up breaking up, married other people, had kids, got divorced, got married. So I tell people we've been together for 7 years, because like we had a 7-year break.
Sure.
My first husband was Air Force. So we moved a few times, Guam, and we were in Missouri, and we were in Germany. And then my husband, we were in Florida, Missouri, and Virginia. We didn't move a whole lot with his, because the ship moves, but the families don't move. So we didn't move a whole lot. I was a key spouse in Ramstein Air Base back in the early 2000s. And then with my husband, I was the ombudsman for the USS the Sullivans out of Mayport, Florida for 3.5 years. And they actually sent me to training school to be a trainer for ombudsman for the families. So that was kind of fun and interesting. I've never been on a military work trip until then. So that was kind of, bye honey, I'm leaving. It's my turn to go on a work.
No doubt.
You know, like,
no doubt.
So that was fun. And then my husband did his last 3 years in Hawaii while the kids and I stayed here in Virginia. So that was fun. 3 years by myself with 3 teenagers.
I bet it was a blast.
It was a whole blast, let me tell you. I was very happy to see him come that plane. That's all I'm saying.
That's a blast you want to evacuate.
That I really wanted to evacuate at times. But it was fine. It was fine. Everything's fine.
Sure.
But yeah, that was, so we have done the Geo Batch tour. We've done the, deployments, numerous. On the Sullivans, he did 5 deployments, 3.5 deployments, because he came home in the middle of the last one, in 5 years. So we've done a few things.
Yeah, it sounds like you've definitely had a life full of like seeing the military experience from the home front, which is, thank you so much for coming on to be on here. With Celebrate the Struggle, not only did I want a space for like veterans to share their story, but I really, really wanted to get family members on. And then eventually, I just want to have anyone, not limited to veterans and their families, so that we can just learn more. So I'm curious, since your first husband since both of your husbands have been in the military, was any of your family in the military that drew you to that?
So, no. So, okay. All of my family has been in the military at some point. My dad and 2 of my uncles were Army. My grandfather was Army. My great-grandfather was Army. If you go on our website under the tributes and stuff, there's a video about 5 Missouri boys. That's my dad, my uncles, my grandpa, my great-grandpa that I did a thing for. Kind of about their lineage. And then all my cousins have been Air Force, which is really weird. So we got Army, we got Air Force, and then my husband's Navy. Like, it's just completely opposite ends. I have one uncle that was a Marine. So, but nobody was really active. My cousins were reserves whenever I got older. So, I didn't really have anybody active duty. My husband, his dad did 39 years in the Army and retired in 2007. So he had been around it most of his life. He was going to join the Air Force originally. And then the only office that was open was Army or Navy. And my father-in-law threw in the Navy office. So he's like, you're not joining the Army. My kid is not joining the Army too. Because my brother-in-law did Vietnam, he did Desert Storm, he did Iraqi Freedom, he did all, and he's like, nope.
Wow.
So That's how we came here. My ex-husband, his family, nobody had ever been military. It was just kind of his way of doing things with his life,
Yeah.
so to speak. So,
Okay. So at what point was Ohana, tell us more about Ohana Homefront Foundation and how did that come about? I mean, I kind of can read between the lines with
yeah,
all the things you've done that it inspired more,
yeah,
but I won't be the spoiler alert. Let's hear. We want to hear.
you're good. You're good.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll let you hear. So one of my best friends, Natalie Ely, she is a Marine spouse. Her husband has been in 20 years. They still have a couple yet to go before retirement. They're stationed at Quantico here in Virginia, and we got together beginning October. Like, we are brand new. We're like in coming out of newborn site situation right now. But we got together and we started talking about how there's a lot of stuff for veterans. You hear about the veterans, you hear about the active duty, you hear about mental health and suicide awareness for them, but you really don't hear anything when it comes to the families. When we're talking about spouses, caregivers, children, even. You don't hear those numbers. You don't hear anything about those because you hear the 22 a day, those kind of things, but you do not hear anything. And so we kind of powwowed around my dining room table, and I said, let's do something. Let's do something about this. It's time that we do something. She's like, all right, what do you want to do? And so this is we just started writing down names, and Ohana means family and Homefront. So family Homefront. It just kind of made sense to keep it that way. Because my husband was in Hawaii. They were in Hawaii for a while. Her daughter is married to a Marine and just moved from Hawaii. So Hawaii is kind of in our blood at this point, and we just decided it makes sense. And it's a fun name to where people are curious about it. Like, if you see Ohana Homefront, what does that mean? So then that gives the opening. So we just decided, I know Natalie, they came from Camp Pendleton, and she had told me a story about there was a spouse, they were going through a divorce. His wife was the active duty, and his parents were visiting, and they had taken the kids and they'd gone to the grocery store, and they came back and found him hanging in the closet. And it was right around the corner from her. And there was just, if he had somebody, to reach out to talk to know that it's okay to not be okay. Like, that's my saying that I say a lot. It is okay that you're not okay. It's what you do with it.
Exactly.
And to know that there are people there that are willing to listen. I would rather listen to you cry or be that shoulder than have to attend your funeral.
Absolutely.
And so that my heart has always been forgiving. I want to make sure that everybody's okay. And I've had to kind of learn in the years past to put my mask on, because if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of others. That has been my big thing. I'm a big giver, and it's hard for me to take for me. And so we're trying to bring, to build that awareness that it's okay to not be okay, that we have resources for everybody. It doesn't matter where you are in your military community path. You could be retired, you could be a retiree spouse, you could be a care. We have something for everybody, because there is such a cycle, and the statistics are so big. In 2018 alone, 65 between the ages of 12 and 23.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Sorry. Between the ages of 12 and 23 and 2018, 65 military dependents ended their lives.
Oh my God.
And so those are numbers and they went up in 2019, and we don't have numbers for 2020. But there probably have gone up more. It's just so crazy how these things are not talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody ever hears those numbers. Wow.
Yeah. And so we've come to learn over the years. My ex-husband suffered from some mental health issues. My oldest and my middle one they've always had a few issues. My middle one more than my older. And to try to get into a doctor and try to get into a counselor, especially right now, because everything is so backlogged from 2020, even with telehealth. So it's just, we want to provide the resources that sometimes you can't get into fast enough. So that's kind of where we are right now.
So what can other people listening, people that are going to see this, what can they do to help not everybody is going it like for I always kept saying, wanting to have this podcast. Not everybody's going to write a book. I want people to share their stories, but not everyone's going to write a
Yeah.
book. Not everyone's going to go start an amazing foundation with that initiative, but they can help support it. What can they
Oh
do to
yeah.
help support?
Oh, so there are so many different ways. We are always adding volunteers to our team. We are all volunteer based, including we do have a counseling team, and they are also volunteer based. We are working on building a counseling team with someone in every single state. So if anybody listening is a licensed counselor in your state, reach out. And it's all based on your schedule. So it's not like we're saying you have to do this many hours or
Sure.
whatever. We just want to make sure we have every state covered for if someone were to reach out. We want to have somebody for them that is legally able to help them. We have all kinds of different, we have volunteer coordinator. We're going to need more volunteer coordinators at some point. We have an events committee, an outreach committee. So you can volunteer with us. That's one thing. To go onto Facebook and share our posts. I mean, we all know word of mouth is Facebook is the number one for sharing or commenting on things. All this is also on our website, but we also have Instagram, all the social media.
Sure.
But we also have a Grapevine. Grapevine is a fundraising platform. It's actually grassroots, so it's newer, I guess I should say. So you can actually go on and give recurringly. So like you can put in $10 and then each month it'll come out $10. That kind of thing. So there's a Grapevine initiative. We also have some fundraisers going on, and those are on our website. We always are looking for different fundraising ideas, or we are always looking for sponsors. We have different tiers. So we have those that want to be a gift card sponsor for our events, or if they want to be a silver, gold, or platinum sponsor. All of that's on the website. They get their kudos on Facebook and our website. We want to make sure that everybody is given the credit that they are due for these amazing things. There's just so many different ways on supporting, and it doesn't have to be monetary.
Absolutely. And you did a really good job painting that picture of it. And then another thing that I was thinking of, like you were saying, focusing on yourself and finding yourself before you can help someone else, not only can you reach out and volunteer through your foundation, but just in life in general, be more aware of people around you, identify when they're struggling, and just be the ear to listen, be the one who is just more aware and
Yeah.
try to help them get through those times, because having a support system is going to make a huge difference.
I agree. I used to always tell my kids, I used to say, do you know that person? Because I would smile at them and just say, hey, how's your day? Because you never know what that person that at Walmart, if they have a grumpy look on their face, they could just be having a bad day and they need that one smile that you give, or that, hey, how are you doing? May make all the difference in the world. It may give them a complete 180. And that's what we need to see. Be kind. I mean, it's good to be kind, because you just don't know what the person on the other side of the phone, even if you're calling your, phone company to complain, you don't know what kind of day they're having. Maybe they're working from home and they've got a child pulling on their leg. Their dog is, who knows, doing whatever. You just don't know. And just asking them about their day and being there, even if that's not your job and that's not why you called, it does. It makes a difference.
Yeah, that's good advice. I feel like we should rewind to like 5 days ago when I had super grumpy, rude guy on the phone. And I wasn't mean with him. I wasn't rude. Part of me really wanted to say some things, but I didn't. But now looking back on it, that was an opportunity where I could have been like, hey, are you okay? Like, you having a rough day? My name's Jennifer. Where are you from?
Yeah.
that maybe that could have made a difference, because I was thinking, wow, he hates his job, but maybe a little conversation with crazy old me could have helped, but
You
maybe he
never know
doesn't
what that
help.
one.
Exactly. Maybe he doesn't hate his job. Maybe it was just a rough, something that happened that was rough. I love all of this, Sarah. Like, good job. Like having, I don't even think those are the right words. Like, God bless you. Like, good job following the purpose and the calling. Like through all your experiences,
Mhm.
being in that military lifestyle has brought you to this point where, like, you saw a need that makes brings tears to my eyes with those numbers, and I knew it was in me. I mean, that's not shocking news to me, but however, like, people do need to be more aware of it. And so I know I am so glad that you got on here to talk about that today, because one of the things that and I've had this conversation a lot with people over the last 6 months or so, since I have I wrote and published a book, and through that
Mhm.
whole process, because it was a dual memoir of my time and my husband's time in the military, so it was very therapeutic for myself
Yeah,
and
very.
and him. But through that process, like, I knew that, like, I wanted to help veterans more. And then as I dissected it and had conversations with people, I identified that I felt like the best way that I could help veterans, little old me, would be to help their families, because then you're
Mhm.
helping an army of people who not only need help, and they need to be identified as those hidden heroes who also struggle, who didn't,
Mhm.
maybe, didn't go boots on the ground in a combat zone, but they have their own war at home, not only while a soldier is deployed, but upon that return, and let's face it, for the rest of our lives. Like, that's just
Mhm.
something that continues on for a lifetime. And so I had thought in those conversations and came to the conclusion that I think the best way to help veterans is going to be to help their families. And that's exactly what you're doing. I admire you so much. So cool. I can't wait to continue stalking you and, like, learning more about
Talk
it
away.
and learning more about it. I love it. And on a side note, I'm gonna follow up with it, but I'm the president of, right now, we kind of, we rotate out. I'm the president
Mhm.
of a non-for-profit group called the Veterans of Log-Based Sites. I don't think I've mentioned that too much on my podcast, so I want to make sure I throw that out there and give a shout out to that group. We are a non-for-profit. All of us served in on the same deployment with the same unit in Iraq, but we are looking at opening up our membership to get people involved and help. But I think being a sponsor for a foundation that has a mission like yours would be something that would bring so much joy to our mission of wanting to help. And so I'm going
Oh,
to follow up with you on that after I talk to the committee.
sounds
I know
perfect.
it'll exactly be something we would love to do. Oh,
Yes.
so what a multitasker you are over here, president, co-founder, working as a monumental liaison in the school. Like, keep killing it. Oh, and then I saw recently, because I have followed Behind the Service podcast, that are you linking up and gonna do the show together?
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
tell me.
a little bit. Yeah, we're doing Wednesday takeovers every other Wednesday. So this Wednesday, you get to hear my voice for about 20 minutes. And I'm going to be talking about volunteering and how it's good for your soul. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be with OHS. It doesn't have to be with, anybody, specifically, but
Right.
how that fills your cup and how important it is for your mental health, and how it giving
Absolutely.
back to others can help your mental health. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about on Wednesday. Our counseling director is going to be bringing on a couple people and talking with them. That should be out in a couple of weeks as well. So yeah, we're kind of tag teaming a little bit.
Can people still, and we'll put all this in the show notes, can people still find it under Behind the Service
Yep.
podcast? Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, it's
they are the
perfect. It
ones.
goes right around along with your mission of your foundation. What a great
Yeah,
tag team. What a great idea to what
yeah.
word am I looking for? Link up, collaborate.
Collaboration. That's it. Yep. It's
Yes.
my day off. I'm not using big words today. No 50-cent
Don't.
dollar words. No. But we also did, Natalie, Ely, and I were on one of them back right when we first started. We talked about OHF and everything that we're doing and the numbers and stuff like that. So we were on with Becca Hyde. For her portion of it. So that's how we all started. And she was like, I think you need to talk to Libby. So then here we are with Behind the Service. I talked to her and she got me in touch with a few other amazing people. And, it just spirals. It does. We cannot fix this world with one person. Mm-hmm. We cannot help the mental health struggles of people with just myself or just you, Jennifer, we need a tribe. We need a family. And I always say that we're not a team with OHF, we're a family, because that's kind of what we are. We're just one big dysfunctional family. Mm-hmm. And it works perfectly. And I just think the more that people realize and hear the stories from others, I did a recording earlier today with Chris Afey. He is the founder of the Flack Foundation. That's getting ready to go up. But he was talking about his stuff and his time. And I know that our counseling director is going to talk to him and his wife together to find out, what do you have, and what do you have together whenever you bring that under one roof. So there's just so many different things that we can all do to bring it real life. So people know that we're real people. It's not a movie. It's not the fairy tale. It's not those movies you see on Hallmark with the military. It's those kind of things. It's real life, and everybody needs to be aware and know that they can make a difference in one person. If they can make that one person's day better, I feel that you've done your job.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. Okay. I wrote down, I'm just going to stop with my notes because I always go back and I binge your guys' shows, my guest shows, like at least 5 times each. Because not only do I just want to be able to really absorb the things that y'all say and your mission, but like I also, I admired it a lot. And so to be able to walk away, don't mind me my blanket, to be able to walk away and tell other people about your amazing mission. Like, I want to be super enlightened myself. I don't only want to have this space to enlighten others, but it enlightens me and provides me with so much. And I am so grateful that you came on here today. Like I'm just honestly a little bit flabbergasted. Clearly, I'm like losing my words today. We'll go ahead and just call it, a holiday. But I'm flabbergasted that like something that's been sparked in my soul over the last year to want to help other people doing, like, here you are doing it, and I'm doing it too. I should give myself that credit, but I just love it, and I hope that you guys continue to have this impact, and I hope that I will have that impact with others, and we will just continue to be this power, and everyone else around the world who's helping toward these kinds of needs. I hope we can continue to be a powerhouse that will change and help other people. So thank you so much for coming on today, taking your day off. Thank you, Martin Luther King Jr. Taking your day off. So
I know.
And come and get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Thank you.
I live in the uncomfortable. Like, because if one person doesn't live in the uncomfortable and use the uncomfortable words and talk about the uncomfortable, nobody's going to ever be comfortable talking about them.
So. Wow. Yeah, man. So much of what you said on this call, and I was going to wait and email you about it after this call, but I'll go ahead and put it out there now. Cause again, I don't think I've mentioned this to my listeners, but after I had identified this last summer that I felt like the best way that I could help people would be to help their families. One of the first things that I sat down and I brainstormed with the help of like my book coach, who's really just a friend and a life coach and a book coach. she helped me to just identify the things that I wanted to help them with, which ended up fitting perfectly into this framework called FOUND, FOUND. But the first letter, F, which you mentioned earlier, like focusing on yourself and being
Yes.
able to focus on yourself before you can help other people. And then you just hit it again with you. It's those uncomfortable conversations. Like you just got to go there. You got to, they don't feel comfortable. You just got to have them. And
Mm-mm.
so you've just hit right on what I really hope to be able to help people with. And so that helps me because it reiterates to me that like this is real life. These are things, these
It
are
is.
needs.
Yep. Sometimes you got to go real life. Sometimes you
That's
got to do it.
right. Well, you keep
Yep.
living that real life. And again, thank you
I
for
will.
coming on to get
Yeah.
comfortable with the uncomfortable.